Hey everyone, Patrick here, and it is time for another edition of Heavy Therapy. This week I want to go over 5 new metal releases. It feels like a big week, a very big release in death metal, a huge release in classic heavy metal, and then, some other releases I want to go over. So let's begin. Up first, I want to talk about the debut full length from this technical death metal band out of Toronto. They are called Apogeian. The album is called Cyberstrictive. 10 tracks, 43 minutes of music. So, yes, this band is on the Artisan era. Not a label that I actually check out too much from because I'm very picky about technical death metal. The album art I saw go around, and I just felt like giving this one an opportunity, and I'm glad I did. So the first track is I actually think the first track is slightly misleading. It doesn't quite tell you the full story of the album, which is cool that a band does that. It's also risky because if you don't like the first album, sometimes you turn it off, or the first song, right? Sometimes you turn it off. I'm glad that I gave this album a full listen. So Cyberstrictive, sort of some bands that I think of whenever I am listening to this album are Psychroptic, Ophidian 1, and Inoculation. Those are the big names that pop up to my brain. I hear a little bit of the Black Dahlia Murder and HAB list as well. What's cool about this album is it opens up. There are more atmospheric moments, more very musical moments, not just trying to shred their ass off, though they do that. Songs get developed, the album gets developed, it's a bit adventurous. So I gave this 1.5 listens. When I was preparing for this video, I put on this album out of these 5 because I couldn't quite remember how I felt about it. So on the second listen, I gave it 4 or 5 songs. So yeah, I'm going to give this overall a 7.4 out of 10. If you like technical death metal, give this a listen. You might like it even more than me, but it was definitely a solid release in that genre. Up next, let's talk about the sophomore LP from Molten. This is called Malicide. This band is from San Francisco. Again, this is their second release. I listened to their debut full-length album when it came out in 2021. This release is on Transylvanian Recordings. Molten play a cool mix of heavy metal, death metal, black metal, and doom. Some thrash as well. This is 8 tracks, 35 minutes. I don't like this as much as their debut. The debut had a little bit of that sort of momentum, and I don't want to. What word am I? Sort of confidence and swag, if you will, that I think is missing on this album. So the production is also this album's a bit heavier. You can hear the bass a bit more. But for me, I think it just lost a little bit of what made them distinct. But I will give this more listens. I did like it. It is a lot of the styles that I'm interested in right now and listening to. I'm listening to a lot of death thrash, and this kind of scratches that itch. Molten, I'm going to give this album a 7.9 out of 10. Can't really think of too many bands that this sounds like right now. Tribulation, if they were less romantic. Yeah, a lot of that late 80s, mid 80s, early 90s combination of all that came before that time period. Possessed. Check out Molten with Malicide. Okay, so next up, I want to cover the big release of the week. We're talking about Judas Priest Invincible Shield, their 19th full-length album out on Sony Music. 11 tracks, 52.5 minutes of music. Everybody's here. Rob Halford on vocals, Glenn Tipton on guitar, Ian Hill on bass, Scott Travis is on drums, and Richie Faulkner is on guitar. They've had this lineup for quite a while now. Got 3 original members still. I remember listening to the first single that dropped from this album, and I did not like it very much at all. I don't even remember which one it was at this point, which is funny. I did not listen to any of the other tracks. I wasn't even sure if I was going to give the full album a listen based on my thoughts from that first track that was dropped. However, full album, it immediately clicked. I like almost every song on this album. In fact, I like every song on the album. Let me pull up some of my favorites. Panic Attack's a crazy, cool opener. I actually like Trial by Fire, Escape from Reality, and Giants in the Sky are my favorite. So that means the back half for me is really strong. Though Sons of Thunder might be one of my least favorites. So strongest tracks are on the back half with also one of the weaker tracks. The album starts off strong. Overall, I really enjoy this Judas Priest album. I listened to it twice so far, and I listened to a couple of my favorites, even more than that so far. 8 out of 10 listen for me. Extremely catchy. Love the solos. Love the song development. Rob Halford's vocals on this are amazing. You hear a little bit of Ozzy, a little bit of Dio, and of course Rob himself. Love it. I like the modern production on Judas Priest. Some of the earliest stuff in the 70s, including the 80s, still felt it just was missing some. It was missing the production. It was missing the beefiness that they have brought into the mix. Some folks won't like that. I do like that. Saw this band live, by the way. I think that was in late 2022. And they killed it. So yeah, really cool new Judas Priest record. Their 19th record, Invincible Shield. Out on Sony Music, I give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, time for some death metal. So first I want to cover Skeletal Remains. This is a band from Whittier, California. They've been around since 2011. This is their 5th LP. The album is called Fragments of the Ageless, out on Century Media. 10 tracks, 45 minutes of music. So the 10 tracks includes a Hate Eternal cover at the end. Hate Eternal is what this band sounds like. Eric Rutan is just all over his playing, his strumming, his aggression, his style of playing guitar is all over Skeletal Remains. So yeah, this band hasn't always clicked with me. I didn't like one of the singles that came out. I don't remember again which one it was. The whole album experience is very, very good. It took me 2 listens, so I had to catch up to how fast it was. The riff started to shine through. This is almost as fast as technical death metal, but it's not technical death metal. It's also brutal, but not brutal death. And I just love the aggression, the momentum. It's unrelenting. Sounds like modern Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Morbid Angel, and Hate Eternal. I actually really think, also Outer Heaven, their last album. If you like any of those bands or all of those bands, give Skeletal Remains a listen. I know they are a favorite in the vinyl community here on YouTube. They haven't always been one of my favorites. I think I like this album a lot, enough to pick it up. So, yeah, cool release for me. Dan Seagrave cover art. An 8.5 out of 10. I will say before I move on, the second to last song before the Hate, I'm not including the Hate Eternal cover here. So the second to last original track is like the 7-minute epic that goes into another sort of 5 to 6 minute instrumental, and though they shine right there. I like when they open it up a bit because most of these songs are just unrelenting, fast chugs, amazing riffs. But it's cool that they have expanded at the end of the album and they keep getting slightly a bit more progressive. Always technical, always heavy. Some of their best production is on this album. Check out Skeletal Remains. And then my favorite release of the week, I've had it for a while, Slimelord's Chytridio Mycosis Relinquished, out on $20 spin. 7 tracks, almost 48 minutes of music. The band's from the UK. It's another $20 spin release. Slimelord play a very unique style of death doom. In fact, my first listen, I was blown away. I couldn't understand how they wrote this. I couldn't understand just how this all came together. Subsequent listens, it does feel a bit more familiar in a very revealing way. I don't even exactly know what I mean by that, but it's just cool that something that is so unique sounding at first more listens, you start to pull out, okay, there's a lot of traditional death metal here. That's just, there's a lot of embellishments, a lot of cool production choices, a lot of atmosphere created, but there's plenty of riffs and grooves to lock into once you get the full experience in your brain and once you've heard it multiple times. That's very cool. Slimelord feature a guitar player from Cryptic Shift, so you know the talent levels are here. This band has really improved upon their previous stuff. Another band that didn't always click with me, this album really clicks with me right away, immediately. One of my favorites of the year so far. Some bands, so I think of Void Ceremony a lot, and Spectral Voice, Warp Chamber, and Worm are some sort of touchstones that if you're familiar with, might put you in the audio space you need to give Slimelord a chance. But they really are their own. They're doing their own thing right here. Really cool. I'm going to give Slimelord a 9 out of 10. Again, one of my favorite releases of the year. I really like putting it on. It's great to focus and listen to, but it's also, for me, just a cool atmospheric album to put on while I'm doing other stuff. Love this Slimelord record. $20 spin is killing it in 2024 so far. And yeah, these are the 5 albums I checked out from this week. They're all pretty damn good. Your personal idiosyncratic preferences are going to really, are going to dictate your experience, of course, but all quite high quality. Really shows the diversity of metal music right now coming out. Most of these have really cool cover art as well, and just, really cool time to check out new music. So give these albums a listen. What have you been listening to from the past few weeks? Put that in the comment section, and remember to stay heavy. Bye.